This week, the best golfers on the planet are kicking it at Southern Hills for the PGA Championship. And with a golf major comes major money because we have a Millie Maker contest this week on DraftKings. $3 million in prizes. First place secures $1 million, plus a ticket to our Fantasy Tournament of Champions, which gives you another shot at a fat millie. Head to the lobby to make your lineups right now and visit DraftKings.com for all the fun, juicy details. And speaking of fun and juicy, Len Hochberg has joined the party here. Reid T. Fowler, Geoff, Ulrich. Guys, we got to talk some DFS. We got to help people build a $1 million winning lineup. John Rahm, betting favorite at the PGA Championship. We know that, but he does not have the largest salary of the tournament, Len. That honor belongs to Scotty Scheffler, 11-4. He's been great, but I need you to chase your fade for me here that this is just too much to pay for him this weekend.
Yeah, Emerson, good morning. I am going back and forth on this. It's a tough call for me. I mean, Scotty Scheffler is the #1 player in the world. He's won 4 times, and now he's going to his favorite course. But 11-4 is a lot. Even if he wins, we traditionally see at these majors that the leaderboard is the first page of the leaderboard stocked with guys in the top 10, 12, 16 in the world. Sure, we do see some outliers, but if you play Scotty Scheffler at 11-4, I think you're going to have to really go deep down to fill out your lineup. I'm toying with a lineup with 2 9,000 plus guys and maybe even a $10,000 guy, which I really like to get 3 big name guys. But I'm going to struggle with the other 3 guys. If you go to Scotty Scheffler at 11-4, you're going to may need 4 struggling guys to get through. It's going to be hard. It can be done, but you've got to be right with all 4 of those lower price picks.
Geoff, how tough would it be to squeeze in Scheffler this week at this price point?
Yeah, it's tougher than it was at the Masters. Good points by Len. You know, just your average salary is going to be less. He was only 10-9, I believe, at the Masters. And it's just a different situation, a different dynamic. Who do we have coming in playing well? Like everyone, Thomas, Spieth, even Rahm coming off a win. It's just a different situation than we had coming into Augusta, where a lot of these top players actually had more question marks. But Justin Thomas outperformed Scotty Scheffler last week. Now he's $700 cheaper. Jordan Spieth outperformed both those guys. He's like $2,000 almost cheaper than Scotty Scheffler. So the value in kind of just fading off those top guys over 11,000, it seems to be there. The one thing you know with Scotty Scheffler is you're going to be able to create some just different GPP lineups. Like you're basically paying up for lower ownership. And it sounds crazy that Scotty Scheffler will be lower owned than those guys, but because his salary is jacked up in GPPs, he's almost like the contrarian play. So that is something that you kind of have to deal with. Do you go contrarian at the top of the board, or do you kind of look for more guys value in the rough? This field is so deep that you can find like 3% owned players, you know, under 7,500 that have real chances at top 20. So my opinion is Scotty Scheffler is a little bit too expensive in this field. Probably better to start off a little bit more balanced approach.
But Reid, here with this past handful, like half dozen tournaments, can you justify paying this much for him?
I can. And I think these guys, while they make good points, salient points, it's a little bit galaxy brain of, well, yeah, there's a ton of guys. This is a major, right? So you're going to find value everywhere. And that's why in GPP specifically, I don't think it's bad at all. I mean, when you talk about 11-4, you're thinking, okay, he's got a top 5 or win. Well, what has he done? Len just mentioned it. 4 of his last 7 tournaments, he's won. So when he has that kind of upside and he's going to his favorite course, narrative street, what have you, there's a lot to be said for that. And in majors, what you have to do with your lineups is you got to be, you can't marry yourself to one type of build, right? Because last year, if you look at the PGA Championship, no guy, there's only one player above $10,000, and that was Jeff's boy, Louis Oosthuizen. All 6 of these guys, and Louis was the highest owned as well. He was 10.4. All like the other 5 were kind of around $8,000. And then you have, right, I mean, the other 4, and then you have Phil Mickelson at 6,700. But if you look at the previous 2 majors, the Open Championship and the Masters, they were, you know, they're a guy, I think the lowest.
Here's the thing with Scheffler, just quickly to wrap this up. Do we really think he's going to keep winning like at a 50% rate?
Okay, but
I think you got to be a little bit forward looking.
About after Florida swing, that's what we said about after the match play. And what does he do?
But I'm of the opinion at some point, Scotty Scheffler is going to stop winning every second tournament he enters.
But we always talk about, well, let me see it before it happens. Why are we not doing the same thing?
You need to be forward looking. You need to be ahead of the crowd, Reid, like Len and I.
You just mentioned that most people are going to be fading Scotty Scheffler. So make up your mind, Ulrich. Is it either you're fading Scotty Scheffler or you're not? Next question. We'll talk about this at 5.
Okay,
Jeff's
yes,
an idiot.
I love this passion. Great. I'm going to put that on the quote board. Geoff is an idiot. So, Geoff, since you are an idiot, what do you want to do with Tiger Woods at $8,200? You want to chase or fade that there are better options in that price range?
Yeah, what are the 15 other options you're going to
See,
choose?
Tiger
besides
could
Tiger?
actually be an interesting
Easy.
contrarian move, but there's definitely better options. It's just from an upside perspective. We went over this. I can't remember if it was yesterday when we were talking about how to bet Tiger. Top 40 play, sure. But do you really want to bet Tiger to do anything more than that, having to like go through 4 tough rounds at Southern Hills? I know the leg is feeling better, but you know, you've got Neiman up there, just $300 more. Even a guy like Max Homa at 8,100. I just think they have better chances to top 10 this week. So I think you're limiting your upside too much by taking Tiger. Definitely like Tiger's chances of making and grinding a cut here, but better upside options than Tiger Woods this week.
Sorry, Len, if you were going to jump in, but I need to cut. You just mentioned the last segment that you're betting Joaquin Neiman to miss the cut.
That's because of a draw thing, though. That's completely different.
You just mentioned that you like him to top 10 better than Tiger.
I didn't say I'd like him to top 10. I said he's got a better chance to top 10 than Tiger Woods. I'll take that bet. Joaquin Neiman over Tiger Woods.
Of course I will, but I'm not going to contradict myself in the DK Sportsbook. And now Kolu's getting worried because I'm getting worked up here. Like, yeah, like I'm
like I didn't poop in the house.
But Sam Burns is the guy for me at $8,800. Well, go ahead, Len, because Geoff and I are going to argue about this later on.
Yeah, Len, come on, man. Bring a sense of stability to this segment.
Maybe the beauty of being on only one segment is I don't have a chance to contradict myself.
I do it all the time.
Tiger's always the hardest question you guys ask. It's always the hardest one. He's $300 cheaper than at the Masters, which I like. I think he will do better than at the Masters. He was 47th at the Masters. I could see a top 40, like Geoff says. Actually, I have him 31st in my overall rankings. You know, it's really a head or a heart thing. Always with Tiger, and my head has to rule here. And I don't think I'm going to pay up for Tiger Woods.
All right, Len, would you consider paying up for Jordan Spieth here, $9,600?
Oh, man, Jordan Spieth. I mean, everything is aligning for Jordan Spieth this week, including his price. I mean, he's playing well. We see that. His price, I mean, I'm not sure how he's not a $10,000 guy. This may be his best chance to complete the career Grand Slam. The reason he hasn't won a PGA is because they're usually very hard tracks to suit his game. Long, narrow fairways. This is a different kind of PGA Championship track, and he may not see this. We may not see this for a number of years. So I think everything is falling into place for Jordan Spieth this week. And yeah, 9,600 is a big go. He's one of the $9,000 guys I was talking about earlier.
Okay, Reid, that miscut at the Masters, it seemed like a low point, but then he won the RBC Heritage and he competed all week and finished second with that ridiculous minus 25 score at the Byron Nelson.
Yeah, and maybe the move to this part of the schedule helps Jordan Spieth out, right? Because before it was the last one where you're kind of burned out. Now it's the second one, right? Since 2019, and you got in 2019 had a third and a 30th, I believe, last year at the PGA Championship. So yeah, I mean, there's other guys, right? I've mentioned Cam Smith quite a bit. Dustin Johnson's there for GPPs, Brooks Koepka. He can do it, but I'm probably going to be a little bit underweight on Spieth and more overweight on a guy like Cam Smith.
Hey, Geoff, you probably don't have to say much. You've talked a lot about how you like Spieth this much this week.
It almost feels like it's too good to be true. Like Len said, like everything is setting up. It even looks like he's going to be on the good side of the weather draw. So, you know, the hurdle for people playing daily fantasy golf this week is actually not to talk yourself out of him at the last minute and be like, oh my God, everyone's playing Jordan Spieth. I need to do something different. You really don't. You just need to trust it at this point, because unless he loses 5 strokes putting, which I mean, it could happen, but it could also happen to like John Rahm. It could happen to Scotty Scheffler. It could really happen to anybody, any of the top players. He's probably going to be up there and he's probably going to challenge on the weekend. So, and at 9,600, the other thing is, like, if he finishes T9, that might be good enough for him to pay off and actually be in the winning lineups this week. So there's too much to like about Spieth. Again, just try not to think too much about it in the next 24 hours and you'll probably be fine.
But you guys, if he's like 20% rostered over there, like at what point, because you don't have to fade a guy who's that rostered, but at what point would you be like, oh, that's a little bit too much?
I mean, I
probably not.
I think you'd have to get, for me, like, I think it'd have to be like well over 30%.
Yeah.
One of the worst mistakes is to avoid somebody that you think is going to do really well because he's going to be highly owned. You got five other options to find differential. If you love Spieth, you got to play him.
All right, guys, we got just a little more than a minute to go in this show, so just hook me up, Len. Who is your favorite DFS play at the PGA Championship and why?
Well, favorite DFS play doesn't sound like he's going to win, but my favorite play, $8,700, Shane Lowry. Guy's been going great come on. He's even says that the beer prices at Southern Hills will not deter him from buying. Welcome to Los Angeles sporting events, everybody. But $8,700, he'll fit into a lot of lineups.
Yeah, you got to take out a small loan just to afford like a Mick Ultra there. Geoff Ulrich.
Okay, so my pick to win is going to be Xander Schauffele, but my favorite DFS play is 6,800. It's Matt Kuchar. I really feel like Matt Kuchar, you look at his record of U.S. Open, PGA Championships, this guy has a lot of top 20s. He top 20s at almost a 50% rate in those championships. He's playing really well, and he's 6,800. I think Matt Kuchar comes up, and he ends up in the winning DFS lineups this week.
Sweet T.
I'm going to marry the two questions, one we can get to. My favorite value play and then my favorite DFS play is Billy Horschel, $7,600. Let's go. Enough said.